Barastoc, Elmore, Equestrian, Interschools next Saturday, July 3rd. Montanna Maud joins me. Firstly, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're one of the brains behind the effort, I suppose, trying to organise a big weekend. Mum's the driving force. Mum's out of the picture. Anyone that's watching this and is wondering, Mum is there making sure that one, Montanna doesn't take one more step that way, and two, we say all the right things. It's a big event though, isn't it, the Interschools, and they're great for getting kids to be able to compete in different disciplines.
Yeah, it's really good to give them a chance at competing in the bigger league, I guess, being EA and not pony clubs. So yeah, getting them introduced, I guess, to the next level.
It is EA, but pony club kids...
Yeah, pony club kids can still, but it's run under EA rules, so yeah.
And they're encouraged actually to compete?
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Interschools, how does it work? So for mine, when you hear the schools part, you think, so it's only schools that are doing it, but I know my daughter Holly's going to be there, and she'll be representing, I'm not sure who.
Yeah, so you represent your school, and well, actually we do tertiary as well, so you can compete for a uni, or yeah, so that's quite a good experience to have your school colours on and make them proud.
So you nominate your school that you're going to be, or do you go in as a group of schools? How does that work?
So you just compete individually, so I would compete for my school, and then if I had any other riders from my school, we'd go in a team together, so yeah.
So if you don't have a team, you don't have to worry?
No, you go into an individual competition, so just on your own.
Now the competitions, they range, there's lots going on. What sort of competitions do we have?
So we have show jumping, dressage, novelties, handy mount and showing. Over the weekend.
So it's a little bit of everything, and what you said there before, you know, pony club, my daughter events, she doesn't really show, but there is the opportunity that they can do all of those in the one events. Campbell's comments, Equestrian, one of the things I try to do is break down a lot of the barriers, and that's what I try to do. I did a thing for Equal last week. They were showing the importance of showing and presentations and the likes. I'd imagine at these sort of events, that's where it really does shine out, because you could go from a show event, jump on and do a dressage, and look in place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I used to show, so my foundations have all come from there, and I like to go into any event looking smart and presentable, so I think that makes a huge difference to everything.
Anyone that didn't watch that previous interview, Carolyn Wagner, I think it's something like there's 6 riders overseas that started from a show background that are potentially competing in the Olympics going forward. So it is a very, very integral part of it, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I think a lot of like your ring smartness and yeah, all of that comes from showing, and you get to put that into whatever event you go into, so.
Right, tell us about you. What does Montanna Maud do?
So I'm a dressage rider. At the moment I have a big warm blood, so he's only quite young, so he's quite difficult. But yeah, I used to have a pony that I took from being a show pony to an FEI trained dressage horse, and I did that all on my own, learning from the beginning. So yeah, that was an amazing experience to get her from just going around in circles to all the way to FEI dressage.
How hard is it? How old are you, firstly?
I'm just gone 18.
Just gone 18. So,
yeah.
So how hard is it? And again, another part of what I'm trying to do is actually keep kids in horses, because I think horses are sensational, and I think they offer so much, especially just coming out of COVID, the fact that, you know, racing itself continued to grow, but everyone thinks racing's the only thing for horses. There are so many different things, but how hard is it for an 18-year-old girl to keep trying to follow her dream and maintain your work and everything else?
It's quite a difficult thing. I've got very good at time managing, and a lot of, I guess, horses, there's a lot more downs than there are ups. So you've got to learn to push through that, I guess, and always see the end goal, which for a lot of kids is the Olympics, and everyone would love to get there. So you just got to have that goal in mind the whole time.
They could balloon very shortly, because Brisbane's well and truly on the radar. There's every chance that the Olympics there'll be a lot of people saying they want to get into it. You've had your shares of downs. I'm not 100% sure exactly what happened, but a couple of years ago you had an accident that sidelined you, but didn't deter you from horses? No.
So last year I had quite a bad fall, and we didn't pick it up till a few months afterwards that I actually have post-concussion syndrome, so that's resulted in a brain injury. But the doctors were adamant that I wasn't allowed to ride the horses, but I reckon I did 3 weeks, I think, without riding the horse, and I could not do it. So my love always just goes back to the horses, and it's my passion, so I'd do anything to keep doing it.
And they keep you going then, don't they? They keep you actually working and keep you ticking along.
Yeah, it does, and it's quite a rewarding thing when you get the result you want. So that's what keeps me going.
Just for kids, concussion's huge, especially in football, and not just in Australia. Anyone that watches AFL and thinks it's only AFL, I know watching the NFL in America, it is massive news and all the rest. Some of the, I suppose, the symptoms that first got you a little bit worried about what may have been happening, because obviously you didn't think you were concussed straight away, and the rehabilitation that comes with that.
Yeah, so I'm not a person that likes sleeping at all, and I struggled to stay awake, and I would sleep nearly all day and still wake up tired. So that was obviously the first thing that.
Can I take you back one step?
Yeah.
The fall, like how bad a fall was it? Was it?
I wouldn't say it was too bad. The ride was going perfectly, actually. I was quite amazed with how he was going. And then a split second he launched and took off, and I went flying through the arena fence. And I thought that I had hit my head, but till now the doctors have just realised that it's my neck. So that's what's caused the brain to shake, and yeah, that's where all my impact is.
So you didn't necessarily get knocked out? Is that the way I'm reading it?
No, I didn't get knocked out.
You can remember the whole experience and everything along those lines?
Oh, I can remember most of it, not the actual impact, but yeah, so I possibly could have hit my head, but a lot of it is from the neck.
So there's this jarring effect that scrambles the brain inside, so it doesn't matter how good or bad your helmet was.
Yeah, no. Well, my helmet is very, very good, and I wouldn't ride in anything else, so that possibly saved my life. The doctors, that's the first thing they ask is, were you wearing a helmet? And they said that luckily I was, because otherwise I wouldn't be here. So that was a huge realisation, I guess, that I do have to have the top of the range helmet to make sure that I am safe, because it can easily happen to anyone.
And that's one thing that will be happening at the Barastoc Interschool. Every helmet has to be up to standard. Don't try and rock up, because they'll be getting checked and everything along those lines. So you said then you started to sleep a lot. You don't like sleeping. You started to sleep a lot. What point of time did yourself or mum start to think, what's going on?
I was actually in Borneo at Youth Nationals. And
so how long after?
That was January, so it was in November, my fall.
Yeah.
And one of our friends actually said that I wasn't quite right. I wasn't on the ball enough, and I'm quite, I don't know how you say it, but yeah, I'm onto a lot of things, and I wasn't quite there, and I couldn't remember really simple things, like Mum would say, switch the lights off, and I'd walk straight out, like just little things I couldn't remember. So that's when they all started to realise that something was wrong, and we went to a lot of doctors, and they all said I was fine, and then one finally picked it up straight away, and now I'm in Epworth every week in Melbourne. So
just getting checked out and making sure, and rehab?
Yeah, a lot of rehab, so that's been quite difficult.
I think it's important, and I think it's great that you've come on, like not only, as I said, promoting the Interschools and what you guys have got coming up, but actually telling your story, because there's every chance there's someone sitting there watching this and they can reflect back on it. And as I said, concussion is a very important thing, and left unchecked causes a lot of things. I mean, depression, there's a huge correlation with concussions and depressions and the likes. They're things that people need to be aware of. And I would say, obviously, yourself, like you said, 1 minute you're switched on, the next minute you're not quite there. So then you start doubting yourself.
Yeah.
It must have been a relief to, one, get a diagnosis and have a good diagnosis.
Yeah, that was something that I quite struggled with. Obviously, I'm in year 12, so that was something really hard for me, because I'm quite good at school. I like to try really hard, and just knowing that I couldn't do everyday things that I used to, and not do as well at school as I would hope. So that was quite a toll on my mental state, I guess, but a lot of the help from the doctors at Epworth, they've got me back on track and given me strategies to help that. So yeah.
How is the school going?
It's not too bad. Some things I still struggle with, which I know, so I've accepted that now, but yeah, I'm still trying to do my best and everything I can to get the result I want. So
yeah, and that's key. You're very keen, you're a coach, you do a lot of coaching, you coached at Marie's Pony Club. It's one of the struggles is to try and get someone your age and keep you in the sport. Do you have some goals? Do you have an end goal of where you'd like to be? Like, it's hard for, I suppose, an 18-year-old girl.
Yeah, I'd love to obviously stay in the horse industry. I love it, so I wouldn't see myself anywhere else. So I'd obviously love to compete overseas or something, or but probably my next step would be getting my judges thing, so I can start giving back to the community that's given me so much. So yeah. Yeah,
it's key. You say about your memory and all the rest. How do you go with your dressage test?
I've ridden them quite a few times now, so they're pretty embedded in, but I did struggle the first few times, just even getting to the end of the centre line and not knowing if it was left or right, like just second guessing myself all the time. So that took me a while to get used to the new normal.
Anyone that's watching this and thinks dressage is silly, I've got a 15-year-old daughter, and it's one of those things. Holly can forget to turn lights off and things like that, but she can get into a dressage test and know it off by heart. I was actually expecting you nearly to say, yeah, I have no worries at all. It's a unique gift that a lot of you girls have, that you can just go in there, and I give any racing guys that might be watching this or that to think about going in and doing a dressage test and ride a centre line to M and Bs and As, and just does my head in.
Yeah.
Even trying to call them out for Holly does my head in.
Mum's never been one for us to call tests, so we've always had to learn from the get-go our test. And the one time Mum did actually call my test, she stuffed me off and I went the wrong way anyway, so we've never done that again.
Was that pre or post the
that
concussion?
Was pre-concussion. So.
Well, we won't pick up Mum too much, but she's there. She did tell me it wasn't going to rain, and it is spitting in. But it's a beautiful weather here. Next weekend at Elmore, it's going to be a lot of fun. You're not going to be riding, but you guys will be organising. Your two sisters, are they riding, or are they going to be organising as well?
No, we're all helping out, so it's quite a big event to run, so we need all hands on deck.
And the Barastoc guys will be there?
Yes, they will be, yeah.
And so that's going to be key. Get out there and make sure you get a part of it. Montana, thank you very much for telling a small part of your story, and I appreciate it. I think all the best one with the weekend and all the rest, but bigger with your journey. And we never know what's around the corner, so maybe someone might reach out and make it a bit easier for some of you kids. But it is, as I said, it's what Campbell's Comments, the equestrian page, is designed to do, is to try and keep a lot of you guys in the sport and keep you going. Thank you very much for sharing your story about your concussion. And if anyone is watching it, if you go to Elmore and you see Montana, don't be scared to go and ask her just for pointers, but go and see a doctor if you are at all worried.
Yeah.
And make sure you find the right doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another thing. Montana, thank you very much. This has been Campbell's Comments Equestrian. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.